to dive into a topic that always gets me fired up. We're talking Cane Corso nutrition, folks. These dogs are absolute units, pure muscle and presence. And feeding them is no small feat. We've got a mountain of articles and expert advice right here, so let's unlock the secrets to keeping a Cane Corso happy, healthy, and thriving.
It's not as simple as just filling up a bowl, that's for sure. Their diet is the foundation for everything from their energy levels to their lifespan.
Okay, so first things first, how much food are we talking about here? I was reading that an adult Cane Corso can eat something like 4 to 6 cups of food a day. That's what, a small mountain of kibble?
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
And that actually goes back to their history as working dogs. Bred in Italy, these guys were guarding livestock, hunting large game, you name it. They needed serious fuel to keep up with those demanding jobs. But it goes beyond just energy. Those 4 to 6 cups are crucial for another reason.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, Cane Corsos are prone to this really serious condition called bloat, which is essentially when their stomach twists. And it's especially common in large, deep-chested breeds. Now, imagine you take that big barrel chest of theirs and fill it with one massive meal.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this. That's a lot of pressure.
Exactly. Dividing their food into at least 2 meals helps prevent their stomach from getting overly distended, which in turn reduces the risk of bloat.
Makes sense. 2 smaller mountains of food it is. But okay, what about those adorable Cane Corso puppies? Those little bundles of energy must need a ton of fuel to keep growing.
Oh, absolutely. Picture a tiny, furry athlete constantly on the go, because that's basically what they are at that age. Those puppy growth spurts are no joke, and just like teenagers hitting a growth spurt, they need plenty of fuel to support that rapid development.
So we're talking even more frequent meals than adult dogs then.
You got it. 3, maybe even 4 times a day for those little guys. But here's the thing. It's not just about how much they eat. It's about the quality of the food they're getting. Think of it like, I don't know, building a house, you need the right materials for a strong foundation, right?
Absolutely. So let's talk building materials. What are those essential ingredients we need to be looking out for in a Cane Corso's diet?
Number 1, it's got to be high-quality protein, especially for those growing pups. We're talking lean meats, fish, eggs. These are the building blocks for their muscles, bones, tissues, everything.
So protein check, it's like the bricks and mortar for those growing pups. But what about other essential nutrients like fats? I have to admit, I used to think fats were the enemy when it came to a healthy diet.
See, that's where things get interesting. Not all fats are created equal. There are actually healthy fats out there that are absolutely crucial for a Cane Corso, especially for their energy levels, brain function, even their coat and skin.
Really? So which fats should owners be looking for?
Think fish oil, for starters. It's packed with those beneficial omega-3 fatty acids. Even chicken fat, in moderation, can be good for them. We're not talking about your typical unhealthy fats here. This is more like the good stuff you find in avocados or olive oil.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm starting to realize that feeding a Cane Corso is a lot more nuanced than I initially thought. So we've got protein, healthy fats. What else should owners be on the lookout for on those dog food labels?
Don't forget about vitamins and minerals. Those are essential too. They're like the unsung heroes of a balanced diet. They support everything from immune function to strong bones. Look for things like fruits and vegetables in the ingredients list, and even stuff like glucosamine and chondroitin.
Glucosamine and chondroitin. Those ring a bell. What do those do again?
Those are compounds that are naturally found in healthy cartilage, which is the stuff that cushions their joints. Supplementing their diet with glucosamine and chondroitin can help protect their joints, potentially preventing things like arthritis down the line, which is especially important for larger breeds like Cane Corsos.
Right, like giving their joints some extra TLC. Okay, this is a lot of information to process, and I have to say, it feels like there's a real risk of either overfeeding or underfeeding with all these factors to consider.
Oh, absolutely. And you've hit on a really important point. Portion control is huge with Cane Corsos. They are naturally prone to weight gain, and that can snowball into a whole bunch of problems later on. Joint issues, decreased lifespan, you name it.
So it's not just about keeping them looking trim, it's about ensuring their overall health and longevity.
Exactly. And this is where those regular vet visits become absolutely crucial.
Okay, so a vet can help us navigate all this. What exactly can a vet do in terms of a Cane Corso's diet? So a vet can help us navigate all this. What exactly can a vet do in terms of a Cane Corso's diet?
Oh, they're like a personal nutritionist for your dog. They could look at your Cane Corso's individual needs, their age, their size, how active they are. Even things like if they're neutered or spayed, which affects their metabolism. Then they can help you figure out the perfect calorie count and even suggest specific food brands or formulas.
Wow, so it really is like having a customized meal plan just for your pup. Takes the guesswork out of it, for sure. But even with a vet's guidance, are there any red flags owners should be watching out for? How do you know if your Cane Corso's diet just isn't working for them?
That's a great question. Honestly, one of the biggest indicators is their weight. If you start noticing sudden changes, whether they're packing on the pounds or suddenly dropping weight, that's definitely a sign to get on the phone with your vet. Same goes for their energy levels. If your typically energetic Cane Corso is suddenly dragging around, it could be diet-related. And of course, keep an eye out for any digestive issues.
So basically, pay close attention to their overall well-being, just like we try to do for ourselves. And speaking of different options, we briefly touched on raw diets earlier. What's your take on those?
Yeah, raw diets have definitely become more popular. The idea is that it mimics what their ancestors ate in the wild, but it's not something you just jump into without doing your research. You got to be meticulous about making sure it's nutritionally balanced.
You can't just throw them a steak and call it a day.
Exactly. A well-planned raw diet typically includes muscle meat, organ meat, bones, and even small amounts of fruits and vegetables sometimes. And hygiene is critical. You have to be super careful about food safety to minimize the risk of bacteria. Again, your vet can be a huge help with all that, determining if a raw diet is even the right choice for your Cane Corso in the first place.
So much to consider. I feel like we've covered a ton of ground here. Portion sizes, essential ingredients, navigating all those different dog food options. It's definitely more involved than I initially thought. But with all this knowledge, I think our listeners are well on their way to raising one happy and healthy Cane Corso.
I think so too. And remember, it's an ongoing journey. You're constantly learning and adapting as your dog grows and changes.
That's a great point. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's all about paying attention to your individual dog and adjusting their diet as needed. Well, this has been fascinating, really, diving deep into the world of Cane Corso nutrition. Any final thought-provoking tidbits you want to leave our listeners with?
It's interesting. We spent all this time on the how of feeding a Cane Corso, but the why is pretty fascinating too. We talked about their history as working dogs, needing that substantial energy from their diet. But if you really think about it, for centuries, these dogs weren't eating carefully measured portions of kibble. They were fueled by what they could scavenge, what they could catch, which probably included a lot of meat and bones.
That's right. Their bodies are basically built for a diet that's high in protein. Those nutrients they get from animal sources, it's like it's in their DNA after all these years.
Exactly. And it really makes you think, even though we've domesticated these dogs, understanding their history, how their bodies evolved to thrive on a certain type of diet, can give us some really valuable clues about their needs today.
Now that is a thought-provoking note to end on. So, listeners, if you really want to geek out about your Cane Corso, why not do a little digging into the history of their breed? You might be surprised by what you discover and how it all connects to their dietary needs today. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time.